Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications you can apply to your life and a little more in depth about the chapter. We are in Deuteronomy 24 verses 1 through 22. Now, God hates divorce. This was something that the Israelites had already put into play, that if a man hated their wife, that he could divorce her and send her on her way. But once you do get divorced, do not go back and remarry that person again. If it did not work the first time, it is not going to work the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. It just won't work. If whatever problems you had before, they're still there. But we need to think long and hard before we get a divorce. We need to make sure that we've exhausted all avenues, that we've went through marriage counseling, we've talked to our preacher, we have talked to family and friends, we've tried to use every possible resource in order to fix our marriage before we say we call it quits. And then, of course, once you get divorced, move on. Don't go back to that old life. Don't go back to the other person you were with. Move forward. And of course, there are some incidences that divorce would be justified. God does not ever want you to be in an abusive relationship. And sometimes you marry somebody and you don't know that they are abusive until you are already deep into that relationship. So also, don't beat yourself up when you get a divorce, and especially when it's for safety reasons. And then, of course, when we get married, we need time for that relationship to mature and to grow strong. So there's lots of burdens, lots of trials and problems that come along all the time. And if you can keep these at bay, do that. Keep it at bay for as long as you can until this relationship has had time to grow stronger. And then this way you can face any of the trials and the problems that come. You can face it together as a couple instead of trying to face it on your own. And of course, we don't take advantage of other people. If you let somebody borrow something, you don't just barge into their house and take it back. You ask nicely for it, you pray about it, you wait for them to give it to you, and in some cases, they may never return it to you, and you just have to write it off as a lesson learned to not let that person borrow anything else from you. And we need to always treat the poor just as well. We don't know the unforeseen circumstances that somebody has gone through in their life. We are not to pass judgment on them. We are to help them if we are able to. And then, of course, leaving the outside of your fields for the poor, the widow, and the fatherless. This was just a way to ensure that people did not go hungry and they did not have to steal in order to have food to survive. We see this in the book of Ruth, that Ruth meets Boaz. She is working in the fields trying to gather food for herself and her mother-in-law after they have both lost their husband. They were poor, they didn't have anything, so this food at least sustained them for another day. So it is amazing how God puts His laws into play to protect us and to give us the things that we need in life. May God be with you in everything and in every way.